Hi, everyone. Just wanted to jump in real quick before we get started and say a quick thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting this class, and I look forward to creating new videos and new content with your support. So thank you very much. Your name should be appearing in this general area right now. Thanks. It's kind of difficult. Also, we have cool things to talk about. I think they're cool anyway. Okay, so it's just, oh, there we go. I got one more. I've got Randy, Aurelio, and Mustafa. And yeah, let's go through some exercises. See what we got here. So this is where we stopped last time, I think, in this wonderful sentence. Randy, are you gonna read some answers? I can't see you.
Sure, I can give it a try.
Okay. You want to take number 7?
Sure. Imperire, mpei, mpayot, man, eshot. Do not do. I was gonna say maybe it looks like houses. Maybe it's just an epsilon iota instead of just a iota by itself. But
yep, it's house, and then it's the house, and then direct object.
Oh, I see. So imperire, mpei. Let's see. So do not make the house. My father. Yeah, I'm having trouble parsing it.
So do you know what man eshot means?
I feel like I've seen it, but I just don't remember offhand.
It is, so eshot is like trade or commerce, something like that. I think it's, what's the word for merchant? I think it's something like that too. So maneshot, what do you think a maneshot is?
The ma would be like a place of something.
Yep. Yeah,
and then
place of commerce.
Yeah, place of commerce. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the whole thing because I understand that the M in front of pay is the direct object marker, but then you have M payot, which is I'm not able to make sense of.
Of my father.
Oh, so do not make the house of my father do not, I guess maybe more idiomatically, do not build the house of my father in as.
Yeah, so this is the M of predication from Middle Egyptian, where you say like where these copular sentences like my father is a fisherman or whatever. I guess in Middle Egyptian that would be, wait, what is the word for fisherman? Oh my gosh.
Waha?
Wait.
Wahi. Something like wahi.
Waha. Yeah, wahi. Man, I'm just drawing a blank on that. But it would be, you know, something like ETM. Is that it? Waha?
In the beginning of the New Testament, I'll make you fishers of men, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place in the New Testament. I think it's wahau. I think that's it. Let's just pretend that that's it because the example is really about the M. So my father is a wahau. In Middle Egyptian, you say like ETM. So you use this M preposition, and we translate it as something like as, for really just for convenience because it just doesn't. There's just no easy way to translate that into English. But so this sort of nominal copular type sentence, this is this, is really an adverbial sentence, and it uses this M preposition to construct it. We kind of have the same thing here. So don't make the house of my father, where this is the direct object marker, don't make the house of my father into a place of commerce. And I think this is actual, I think all of these are New Testament quotes. And this is Jesus like flipping the tables.
Oh, is
Money
this
lenders.
the cleansing of the temple or whatever it's called?
Yes, that is some excellent PR, the cleansing of the temple. Oh, yeah. The cleansing of the temple. Yeah, I didn't know it was called that. But that is definitely the scene. So Jesus goes into the temple. He's very angry to see trade going on, and he flips the tables. Why, does anyone know why was all this stuff happening in the temple?
Not completely sure, but judging from modern equivalents, I'm assuming you need money to buy all sorts of things like votive gifts you could give to the gods or something like that, like little statues, pieces of paper, I don't know, incense, whatever you need to buy.
So like when you walk into a church and there's the little drop box where you get the, you light a candle and you put like
Sort
a
of like
euro
that.
coin into the box.
I mean, in
it's a
Asia
good,
you get joss sticks and whatnot, and little dolls and all these things. That's what I was thinking about.
yeah, that's a good thought. I don't know that Jesus would have been super angry about
That's
that,
true. Mm.
because all the churches around here have that too. And I always like put a euro into the box if I go look at the church.
True.
I just feel like it's fair. Like, they have to maintain the building. They've got ignorant yahoos from Texas like me wandering around. They probably have to clean up my footprints after I leave or whatever. So I don't think that's what it's about. I think it is something very different. So this story in Christian terms is understood to be like the cleansing of the temple, as you said, Randy. And I jokingly said that's some excellent PR, but as I said it, I realized that there was a lot more truth in what I was saying than I had intended. So this story is understood to be like a very a noble act against a corrupt institution, which is very much how the temple is portrayed in the New Testament. But that's because we think of modern churches very differently from the way these ancient temples functioned. They were not just places of worship. They were also like city centers. They were places of commerce. The forecourts of temples were probably used as market squares. All these places were, they were not purely sacred places. They were actually gathering places for all sorts of things. Trade, there's all the debate about whether there were really temple prostitutes in the ancient world, or how prominent they were, or whatever, or at least in ancient Judaism, were there temple prostitutes. I read some of those arguments, and it seemed pretty clear to me that there definitely were, because they're referred to without qualification as just a thing that exists. So temples were not these purely sacred places where you only went with like a contrite heart. These were places where people went to do business regularly. In ancient Egypt, the temples were absolutely the center of all sorts of important social organizations, state functions, really just about anything the temple would have been a hub of that. So anything that you think of like the government doing today, or really like a lot of things, a town square, a government, a charitable organization. In ancient Egyptian temples, there were orphans and homeless people living inside the temples in rooms that were dedicated for that purpose. So you kind of have to understand ancient temples as being like much more central to the business of everyday life than places of worship are today. And then what's happening is Jesus is actually arguing for the change that happened historically between then and now. We think of places of worship as being these purely sacred spaces, and like commerce and governance has to happen elsewhere because it shouldn't be taking place in this sacred space. That's the change that I think Jesus is lobbying for at this time, sort of uniquely, as far as I know. I don't know of anybody else in the ancient world getting super upset that there was business going on in the temple. So yeah, don't make the house of my father a place of commerce. Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough about that. Does anyone have any questions about that sentence before we move on? Okay, Aurelio, what you got for number 8?
Okay,
The weird one.
Number 8, Sahidic. Etahov, errative choice. Etahov. That's an infinitive with the A in front. So
Yep.
to place him, errative at the feet, or literally at his feet, choice of the Lord. So basically to present him to the Lord, to put him in front of the Lord, something like that.
Yeah, to put him in front of the Lord, to present him to the Lord.
Right.
So this
Yeah, I
Tahov,
thought it's a causative, isn't it? With T causative.
yeah, it's a T causative from
Aha.
ohe
Oh, okay.
or aha in like yeah, this word aha.
Right, in fake Egyptological pronunciation. Aha, yes.
Yes. So, and you've seen this combination before, I think. Like aheratif is like aheratif is like he's standing. And it's literally he is standing toward his feet. And then you said like in order to present him to the Lord, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, to put him in front of the Lord. And the only thing that did trip me a little bit, is the second F, the second phi after errative. I'm assuming that's anticipating the input choice, but it feels a little bit superfluous, doesn't it? Why is it not just errative choice?
I thought it was this F. So we have words.
Okay.
We have words like this where to stand up or be established or whatever you want to translate this word as, depending on the context. It's reflexive. So F aheratif, faheratif is he is standing. So I thought it was that F.
Which makes sense. It's analogous, isn't it? So to place him upon his feet for the Lord, not really before the Lord.
Yeah, and yeah, for the Lord. So I thought the M was
Gotcha.
na, the na preposition.
Which makes more sense than what I said. Yes.
Maybe it does. I kind of want to find it if search would work properly. Oh my gosh. Am I the only one who ever has this problem with Adobe software where it just like searches the wrong thing? Okay. To present, they brought him up to Jerusalem to present to the Lord. I need to clear these little things I've written. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, that makes sense to me. If it makes sense to you, I think it's good. Okay, any questions about number 8? All right, I thought it was a little weird just because, I don't know. I just thought it was going to be weird because if you translate it literally, it's very weird. It's like to cause that he stand to his feet of the Lord, with the Lord, in the Lord, but it's for the Lord. So
took me a while to catch that. That's an basically the infinitive E at the front, at the beginning. That is a fragment basically.
Yeah, there are these little like snippets of sentences sometimes that are, yeah, it throws you off a little bit. When we have the really long ones, I find them so much easier because then you can kind of get into a flow. Yeah, you don't have little dangling things like that. Okay, Mustafa, Number 9. Tell me what you got.
Yeah. Yeah. Joyce Matan Hon. The Lord Matan Hon. I don't know. Actually, we didn't see this construction. Ma is not in a place.
It could be place, or it can be the imperative of the word give, and then it is you can have give plus verb. So it's just an imperative. It kind of marks the verb as an imperative a little bit. It just emphasizes that it's an imperative. So
The Lord
so yeah, so this is really the verb.
Approach us or something.
Nope. This is a T causative from one, to live.
Okay, on to live. I'm blue screened.
What's that?
I just blue screen.
You just
I'm
blue
just blue
screened.
screen. Yeah.
Like your brain or your actual computer?
Yeah.
So
couldn't get it.
Tanho is like make live. Or it could be save,
yeah.
preserve. So yeah, okay, what do you have now?
Tanhon, okay. Preserve, save us.
Yeah, okay,
Lord,
and then the
save us.
Lord,
The
save us.
Lord save us.
Yeah, and why do we have the Lord? Why is the article on there?
It's because of the Lord means God. Because of
That's not why. It's on there because in Coptic, the vocative has the article.
okay.
So in Coptic, if you wanted to say, oh, father, you would say, oh, Piotr. You actually say, oh, the father.
I get it. Something like pasher, pishere.
Yeah.
End of the sentence.
Yeah, if you were to say shere to someone, you would be saying like son or boy.
Yeah, there was examples, previous examples.
Yeah, I think we've seen it before, but it's worth remembering. In Coptic, you don't say, oh man. In Coptic, you say, oh, the man.
Yeah.
That's worthy of adoption. Oh,
yeah,
the man.
it definitely is. Oh, the man.
Is this construction developed from something in Middle Egyptian, or does it arise anew?
I don't know. Actually, that's a great question. I think it does show up. I know it shows up in Demotic. I think it does show up in Late Egyptian. So I think in Late Egyptian you also say like, "Oh, the man." I'm not totally sure about that though. I'd have to look.
It's similarly found in a number of Semitic languages that use the definite article to denote what we'd say is the vocative. So I'm wondering if there's a common influence, if it might be a substrate influence. I mean, some Semitic influence into Egyptian, if it doesn't exist, say in Middle Egyptian.
Yeah, well, the articles don't exist in Middle Egyptian either.
Yeah,
so, but it very well could be. So we see plenty of Semitic influence on Late Egyptian, especially. It's pretty easy to spot, and we'll definitely see quite a few examples. If you join the hieroglyphic Egyptian class beginning on August 21st,
I shall.
then you will see examples of Semitic influence on the Egyptian language. And they're pretty easy to spot, in my opinion, because they are just like, especially in late Egyptian, because you have group writing, you can really easily tell when like the Egyptian scribes themselves are dealing with something that they don't have a set system for dealing with yet. There's not a lot of like tradition that they can lean on to figure out how to write something. It's very clearly marked in the script because of the way they write it. So that makes it super easy to spot neologisms and loan words and things like that. And then even with like the addition of u as the third person plural pronoun, it's super easy to spot. Like we never see it in Middle Egyptian, we never see it in Old Egyptian, and then all of a sudden in Late Egyptian it starts popping up everywhere. And then the later you go in time, the higher frequency it is, until eventually it's like the only thing that's used. So you can like very easily see its market share growing until it just takes over. So yeah.
Junge says it's already in Late Egyptian. Like, should we approximate this here now as Coptic? Anuk Pegbak Penip Menu. I'm your servant, O Lord of Hermopolis. So there's a
Nice.
Penip.
Yes.
It's nifty. So yeah, it's in there. He gives in total 3 examples for Late Egyptian here.
I hope that's what I said. I hope I said it is in Late Egyptian. I don't
You
remember
said
what I said now.
you said it exactly that. Yeah, and it's in there.
Oh, okay, good. Yes, I love it when I'm more or less accidentally correct. I mean, there's just so much stuff to this that a lot of times, like after a long enough time, you're kind of just working on feel because you can't possibly remember every single detail about it. You just kind of have like a rough, like, I feel like I've seen that. Anyway.
While we're on an etymological bunny ride,
Mhm.
we have Tahov, we have Tanhon. They have the same vowel pattern, which I've also seen in other T positives. So that seems to be a thing. Any idea as to why? Why it's not just a normal infinitive, vocals and vowels in there?
Well, it is.
Oh,
It is a normal infinitive.
Isn't it
How am I-
Onech or Anho? I mean, long vowel in the first.
Oh, I actually had it right. It is oneh as a verb, and then tanho as the T causative. Basically what happens is this was always the stressed vowel. And this form of the verb is the complementary sejm F. It is not the infinitive.
Ah, okay.
So it's actually a different vowel paradigm because it's a different
Different
like,
verb form.
grammatically. Yeah, and this is, we're actually seeing some of the morphology. So in this case specifically, you actually see the vocalization of this complementary sejm F because it's caused that Tanhof is caused that he live. So it's really deet. Deet. Achef. I should have made that horizontal. And then this is a type of sejm F. And the thing that we know for sure about the sejm Fs is that the stress was here. Because in every place where they survive in Coptic, you get the stress right before the pronoun.
Cool.
So
okay.
Yeah, so it's probably something like on half.
On half, yeah, on half. Huh.
Yeah, so that's why they're different because the infinitive is on short vowel, with the stress here, anech, and then on half. Yeah.
All right, that's
stuff.
nifty. That's neat. Yeah.
It's pretty neat. Yeah. So there's this big debate about how many sejm Fs there are, and like, and all this kind of thing. And Alan has very famously argued that there's like 1 or 2 sejm Fs. There aren't really this like proliferation of forms, just on the basis of like very minor grammatical variation. He argues that like, well, they might have been used in different constructions, but it's just the same word every time because it's written the same way. I don't know if he's right about that, but one of the consequences of him being right, and I suspect one of the reasons that he likes that idea so much, is that we would actually know how to pronounce it if that's true. If it is true that there is only like 1 or 2 Sejm F forms, then we actually know exactly how to pronounce them because we do have at least 1 Sejm F form preserved in Coptic. So yeah, quite a lot to be said about that. It's a big thing.
Just another question.
Yeah, of course.
So the tanhon, the ta or the t actually is from the verb t to give originally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ma also is an imperative form of the t.
Yep.
So
True.
it's give live.
Give live, yeah.
Yeah. Give that we live. Give that we live.
Okay.
This one is markedly imperative, so it's very useful for just sticking on to another verb, just to signal to the listener that like I really mean this as an imperative.
Yeah. So the ma is just to affirm the imperative. It doesn't give an extra causative effect to it.
I don't think so. No, that's a good question. Actually, we've seen some other ma's.
Yeah, in number 2.
Yeah, there was another one.
Matamoy.
I don't know. Does he say anything about that?
I think he, yeah.
Just that is the imperative for T. It's somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it is. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, he does. I don't know how to reference the ebook because this one I've got isn't a PDF with page numbers.
Section 7.6.
Yes, under T.
7.6.
More towards the end, right, Rasmus?
Yeah, exactly there.
Yeah, there it is. ABFLMS.
But if it's strongly correlated with the T of the T causative, I would guess that it actually is something, if they always occur together, I would guess that it actually does have something to do with the fact that there's the verb give. Once you have it kind of bound up in the T causative, you can't convert it into an imperative anymore. So maybe you would feel inclined to like stick this ma at the beginning to kind of capture that role that you're no longer able to achieve with the verb itself. That seems very, very reasonable to me. I don't actually know whether it's strongly correlated with the T causatives though. I'd have to look that up. I always thought of it as just being like kind of like extra imperative marker, right? It just kind of tells the listener like this really is an imperative. So
do you see it attached to verbs that don't start with the T?
I don't know.
So.
What
does Lambden do when he introduces it? There was like a few
We haven't
lectures
got
back.
to that
Oh, we haven't gotten to Ma yet? I thought we did.
yet. In Lambden, no, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I'm never going to be able to find this. There's going to be so many examples of ma.
Yeah.
Imperative 17.1.
17.1 in
Lambden.
I'll have to go back to this one.
Is it in there? 17.1. The verb ma, mat, or may is used as the imperative of D, but D may also be used. But D may also be used, is all he says. Does he give examples? I think there were some in the exercises.
I don't think he gets to the T causative until 26.3.
Oh, no, you're right. Exactly. The causative is not there. You're absolutely right. Just the ma is in there. So I was hoping that he would give some.
The ma of the imperative of T, right? Yes.
Right. I was thinking maybe he gives some examples, and then we can see, since we don't have the causative yet, he'd have to give us some without, right? You'd think. I'm trying to find one on the fly. Here we go. Ma and ka nim en nebien. Ma and ka nim, give everything to the poor. Ma and ka nim. So in this case, it's really just meaning give.
Yeah.
So it's not with another verb. Ah, interesting. So we didn't answer the question yet.
No, and I don't know the answer to this actually.
Interesting.
I can't remember having looked closely enough to say. So where is this? I'm going to put a note. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Highlight it and then put a note. Is this?
But he says actually in 26.3,
Mhm.
he mentions the T infinitive, the T causatives. And then he says at the end of that section, the imperative of these verbs may optionally have a prefix ma.
Ha,
So
Oh,
you're onto something here. So that's it then, huh?
yeah, it
Cool.
would seem that, at least according to what Lambden says, that the
Ah,
ma is only used with the T causatives.
ha.
you
And
said
that
section
makes perfect
26.7.
sense.
Matamo,
Yeah.
matalo, yes,
No,
etc.
26.3, sorry, 26.3. But it makes
26.3.
perfect sense according to what you said before.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Huh.
I guess it does kind of match what I said before, but I didn't realize that that was the case. I wouldn't have thought of it being associated with the T causatives. I've just never noticed that association from reading.
Very
But that's
cool.
good to know. Yeah, you learn something every day. Especially when we read Coptic, we find all these nifty things. Okay. Are there any other questions about these sentences?
Should we try to do the last one so we can close out the lecture?
Yeah, I'll let Rasmus, because
Sure.
you haven't had a chance to read yet, have you, Rasmus?
Not in this class now.
Okay.
So it's Moini, Moshi, and Zoe. I'm not sure whether to put any glottal stops in there.
Well, no one knows.
Yeah,
So
no one knows.
Bohairic probably has a glottal stop because you know, in Bohairic how you get like the P article. So like oh, I wrote it wrong. I wrote it the Saitic way with the epsilon. So this, and then I just spelled it wrong. Wow. Gosh, that is so slow. Okay, so like Piotr is the father, right? And it changes because this is a vowel or a semi-vowel or one of the Blemnar consonants. So BL, MNR, U, and E. You get the P, but then in words like Oni, stone, you get unaspirated P. So that suggests very strongly that there is a glottal stop in here that's preventing the change to a phi, because the thing that makes things phis are these consonants or semivowels with very high sonorants. And vowels have the highest sonorants of any sound in a language, so we would naturally expect this to be pony, but that doesn't actually exist. What we get instead is pony. So it suggests that there's a glottal stop in here separating them, and that's why that happens, which would mean that the glottal stop is still present and phonemic in Bohairic, but is just not being realized in writing in any obvious way.
No. Okay, so anyway, concerning the meaning, amoini means come. It's an imperative of the word.
Which imperative?
Hmm?
Which imperative is it?
Which imperative it is? It's oh right, it's the second plural. One of the few
No.
cases that it isn't.
I mean, you're right, but it's not, because in Saitic we have a matin, and we know that that's the second person plural. This is the first person plural, amoini.
Oh, it is.
And
Oh, no
originally,
kidding.
etymologically it is, but it gets used for the second person plural imperative because the imperative is second person.
Right. Okay. That's confusing, but
Yep.
anyway.
Aren't you glad I brought it up? It's so helpful.
Yes, very
Wow.
much.
Translating.
So the moshi is just a plain infinitive here used as an imperative.
Yep.
So it means to walk. And in Zoe is after me or behind me.
That's right.
So come walk behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the meaning is exactly correct. Come
Follow me.
walk behind me, or come and follow me. Yeah.
Mm.
And then amoini is very often used as a kind of like ma in the previous example, or kind of like, I think of it like the word yalla in Arabic, where
Yeah.
you can say like yalla naruh, like let's go, or something,
Mm.
where it's literally like let's go, we go. But it can be used to kind of just like preempt another imperative that's sort of like collectively realized, like come walk after me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good job. I'm sorry I made it more confusing for you by adding in a bunch of extra information before you'd finish translating, but there are some good questions in here. One of them is this use of the first person plural imperative, which did once exist, but does not exist anymore in Coptic, but we have this little fossilized remnant of it, where it's really second person because of the way the imperative is used, but it comes from a sort of like a hortatory first person, like let's. And then mochi is probably pronounced mochi, or, you know, if I'd used, I mixed up my transcription systems.
Oh, is that is that an ayin in there?
It's a glottal stop. It's probably
Okay.
mochi, but that is predicated on this, which suggests the glottal stop was still present in Bohairic, just not written. And then the fact that this word is Saitic, moche, and then earlier Egyptian mesha, where the pharyngeal merges with the glottal. And then there's metathesis of these two, right? Like there always is. Yeah, all that happening probably makes it mochi. Okay, cool. I'll let you guys go. I hope we had fun and learned some things. I definitely learned some things that I didn't know. So that's always good. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
I'll see y'all next week.
See you
Yeah.
next week.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye bye.